Well, hello, that's me again. Today is November 5th, 2024. It is the day of elections, but I'm not going to be wasting time commenting on what everybody already commented on, and we'll see where it all goes. We already voted, my family we voted, and you probably already know why we voted and for who we voted, but it makes no difference really in the overall larger scheme of things, and so the main show, so to speak, and main hysteria will unfold sometime, in the evening, so it is what it is, so nothing we can do about it. What you see in the beginning are the video of the good old Grad, good old MLRS Grad are working, positions of the whatever is left of the armed forces of Ukraine. And before I go and start discussing some other things, let's kind of take a look at what we have a situation with the armed forces of Ukraine on the line of the combat contact, because obviously it directly influences of what is going on today. Some people may not even understand this, but you have to understand that, for example, American elite, so to speak, American political class, it is preoccupied with what is happening in Ukraine and in Israel, or rather around Israel and around Palestine. So, but we will go and take a look at this immediately. So we have the Ukraine needs 500,000 new troops. One of the lawmakers, namely Roman Kostenko, Ukraine needs at least 500,000 new recruits to replace combat losses and outfit new units, lawmaker Roman Kostenko has said in an interview. Kiev's current plans would fall 300,000 men short. Kostenko is the secretary of the Verkhovna Rada, the Defense and Intelligence Committee, and a former officer in the Ukrainian army. Well, I mean, it's, how to put it, it's been said so many times on so many occasions that in the end what matters are the potentials which play in the war, apart from the obvious things of the capability of the command corps and combat capability of the troops itself. And if you take a look today at some of the videos which are coming from line of the combat contact, you will see yourself that actually Russians are moving really well. And we will come and see what our friend Marat Khairulin posted for us. Here is Pokrovsk area, as you can see yourself, and as I already pointed out, you can see yourself that the yellow meshed line is the line from the which is 4 days old. It's the 1st of November, and as you can see yourself, it already is moving steadily, and anybody who has any good attention, they will see you will see yourself all those circles and lines with the red arrows towards them, and those arrows eventually will kind of join in, and they become the large arrow which actually is targeting Pokrovsk, or as it is known in Russia, Krasnoarmeysk. And it's now just the matter of time. It really doesn't matter what they will be throwing in there to stop Russian advance. Nothing gonna happen there in terms of stopping this advance. And we can take a look at the numbers today. These are today's numbers. Consistently above 2,000 KIAs and wounded. Reality, as I already stated many times, and I will continue to repeat this for people who really just encountered my channel and listening to me, that actually this 2100 you can easily multiply it by 1.5 or times 2, because this is actually will be killed and wounded real number, but in terms of killed, it's probably around 2,000. And so this is happening every day. As you can see yourself, 19 other tanks and APCs wiped out, and UAVs. 17 has been shut down, but let me show you something. This is Belgorod today. This is Ukrainian UAV. As you can see yourself, they are really good at attacking civilian targets. This is what they do. They attack. This is, by the way, with the support of the United States and London. And so, yeah, as you can see yourself, the peaceful apartment complex, why don't we hit it? Of chaos, of course. They go and hit it by the UAV. And as you might understand, some of those UAVs do leak through. There's no doubt about it. Nobody says that. Now, Russian air defense is 100% proof. It's more like 95% proof, which is still stunning number, and no other air defense in the world even comes close to it. But yes, you get once in a while some missile or some UAV, and guess what? Most of the time they attack civilian targets. They attack sometimes, you know what, I could have gone, you know, almost to Hot Shots first part, the Hot Shots Part 2, which is really funny. But the first Hot Shots movie, you remember Admiral Benson, who stated that, you know what, if you cannot bomb Saddam and you fail somehow with this, you know, task, well, the secondary target is Accordion Factory, as you might remember. In one of the most funniest moments, well, Hollywood actually was good. And this is what they do. They attack either civilian targets, I mean, like apartment blocks or accordion factories, you know, which are as relevant to the special military operation as I am relevant to China. And this is what is happening from the, you know what, a blessing of the NATO, which, as I read my lips, already lost politically and lost militarily. It's just as I already stated, because we're talking about large clusters of the states, nations. It takes time for the arrangement phase to kind of complete itself. And we are in the arrangement phase, and we will see also today what is happening with the elections. But yeah, don't put much stock into it, because even if Trump comes to power, for example, and depending on, first, we have to wait and see what kind of administration he will gather. And secondly, well, it's still, he will still continue to support Ukraine one way or another, or whatever is left of Ukraine, until he will face the inevitable choice or option, so to speak, that he has to follow, you know, and surrender, basically. It's just a matter of how you will arrange this. And this is what we can talk about about Ukraine today. And so it's kind of in continuation or expansion of this issue. We can talk about this. It's today, and a couple of the European Parliament members, they stated that, you know, today you will not lift Russian sanctions. EU restrictions on Russia are unlikely to be lifted in the foreseeable future due to pressure from the US, two members of the European Parliament told Izvestia newspaper on Tuesday. And they, one of them is, I believe his name is Fernand Kaiser from Luxembourg. He says that it would be logical to leave them, but I'm not sure that this will happen. The lawmaker said it is likely that the US will ask to keep the sanctions in place to make sure that economic relations with Russia do not resume immediately. I don't think so, honestly, that they will resume at all. I mean, there will be completely different setup, and yeah, it just shows you that European Union is nothing. It's just extension of NATO, and they will do, Europeans will do what the United States tells them. United States will tell Europe to jump, they will ask how high. This is what happened to Europe, and it's absolutely wise from the point of view of Russians to turn completely to the east, because there's nothing to talk about with these people. But they also say that, you know, last year the US was the largest LNG supplier to the EU, representing almost 50% of total LNG imports, having tripled the supply volume since 2021, according to the European Council data. So there you go, Europe exists to, well, enrich United States. And it's, you know what, make no mistake, I repeat it so many times, I will repeat it again. If anybody brings me up here any kind of issue of morality or, you know, things of this nature, so I will stop talking to such people. Reality is, guess what? Just it's from purely practical point of view. And this is, I mean, I'm sorry, this is the system which West established actually and installed all over the world in the last roughly 500 years. It is double standard, yes, but guess what? In the practical terms, if I'm average American and I need to eat, you know, I need to maintain somehow this standard of living. It's declining, but still it's a decent standard of living. What would I do? I don't care what Europeans think. And the same probably is in the political elite on the United States. I mean, if they Europeans will be dying tomorrow from cold and hunger, too bad. You know, that's the United States, which really needs to eat. And the shrinking basically base on which, well, let's put it this way, financial capitalism of the Western civilization can, you know, what, grace. It's shrinking. It is shrinking. It's shrinking significantly. And suddenly there is nothing much you can do. So who is becoming the sacrificial lamb? Europeans, of course. And so as in the last video I was talking about, Europe has to anticipate, and it's very high probability is coming. It's going to be pretty poor. In some places it will be very poor, then will return to its essentially, you know, what place and standard of living adjusted for the time, of course, which we have to be very clear about it. But well, something like from Middle Ages, essentially, that's what it is. They will be buying, Europe will continue to buy all those energy from the United States, you know, with a huge markup. And too bad, you know, so it is what it is. This is the system the combined West established on its own. Each time when anybody tried to deal with the combined West in the good faith, they have been screwed. One of the brightest example of this is, of course, Russia. Russia was royally screwed by trusting combined West. Not anymore. There is no trust, and the only, as I already stated many times, the only way Russia will have any kind of relations with Europe will be on the bilateral basis, like Russia has the relations with Serbia, she has relations with Hungary, same goes for Slovakia. Countries which are, you know, demonstrating that they are dealing with the good faith, Russia will be dealing with them in the good faith. Old Europe, well, I wouldn't be as arrogant as to say that, oh, old Europe must die. But the old Europe, all those, you know, pivotal countries for one of the pillars on which American control of Europe rests, which is, of course, completely subjugated Germany, UK, pardon me, France or Italy, so they will not live like they already live pretty, you know, it's pretty crappy to live there, like France, for example, where the drug wars are unfolding pretty much all over France. So what can I say? Pardon me, the, you know, dry throat. So yeah, the France is now mired in the drug wars. You can look it up on the news, and of course they lie to themselves. Well, their multiculturalism killed France, for example, as nation. So, and yeah, that's that type of Europe. Well, I'm not saying this must die. I wish no harm, no ill to people of Western Europe, but I mean, the way it exists today, it cannot exist anymore. So, simple as that. Now, let's go back to other important things. And so, if you listened yesterday to me and Colonel Daniel Davis talking about part of our almost hour-long conversation was revolving around the situation with Iran. And the news that actually, you know what, the United States placed in Qatar things which, as Larry and our good friend Larry Johnson stated, that they placed B-52 and F-15 aircraft at the air base in Qatar. And Larry correctly states that what is the Pentagon thinking? The U.S. aircraft carrier, the Abraham Lincoln CV-72, reportedly has departed to Persian Gulf and is returning to its home port in the U.S. In its place, the Pentagon deployed 6 B-52 to Qatar. And he's correct. I mean, that tactically this is insane. If the war between Israel and Iran escalates and the United States decides to get involved, those planes are sitting ducks. I'm sure some armchair warrior imagined that the B-52 could be loaded up for a massive strike in Iran, besides being able to drop conventional bombs. The B-52s can deploy cruise missile, and he's absolutely correct. But if you will look at the map, and where, you know, basically Persian Gulf separates Qatar from Iran. And so if you take a look at the scale, as you can see yourself, yeah, that's about 75 miles between Qatar and the shores of Iran. And for Iran, it's an easy wipe out Qatar as a whole, let alone the US military base there. And as Larry correctly states, that my guess is that the deployment is nothing more than an act of the political theater, a symbolic gesture with no tactical intent. Well, still, we have to understand how Iran is thinking, and we discussed with Colonel Daniel Davis yesterday in depth what is the plan for Iran, pardon me, and will it respond, as they already promised, to Israel, to the strike of Israel? I think so, they will, but we'll see. It is going to be again on the Iran's, choosing on the place and time. So that's the, actually a good position to be in, because Iran obviously has the escalation dominance. And the only thing which Israel has on Iran is the nuclear option, Samson option. But if Israel goes to such a length as to use their nuclear weapon, I can guarantee you that Israel will cease to exist really fast. And not only because of the possible military response, but because essentially that will become the pariah state, and you know what, even the United States will not be able to support it anymore. So, but Iran has to look at this and, reflect on why those planes are there. Obviously, if Iran decides to strike, those planes may not even survive, if they are in Qatar, if Iran decides to deal with this threat. But there is, as I already stated, F-15s and B-52s. B-52s is a venerable machine, and it used to be able to launch this. This is AGM-86B. It still can launch one of those, but B is with the nuclear-tipped weapon. Now, there, as you can see yourself, as the missile threat website tells us that U.S. retires CALCM missile, which is the conventional air-launched cruise missile, a long-range cruise missile carried by the B-52 bombers developed in 1970s. And as you can see yourself, this is it has the range of 1,200 kilometers. Many people sometimes mistakenly call it the Tomahawk cruise missile. It's not quite. I mean, pretty much same technology, very much along the same lines. But yeah, it's what they can carry now, only the AGM-86, and as you can see yourself, AGM-86 only the version which is nuclear tipped remains in service. The conventional air launch missile is gone. But what can they use then? Well, they can use obviously this good old thing, and it's called JASSM. Well, actually JASSM is not quite old. It's a fairly new weapon, and it's joint attacks, standoff munition, which is essentially cruise missile, as you can see yourself. And here it is being fitted to the B-52. And I don't remember how many they carry, because they carry them on the outside, but I think so you can still put them into the drum, revolver type thing inside the fuselage of B-52, so it carries quite a bit of them. And same goes for actually the F-15s, which are capable to carry JASSMs, because if you take a look at the Air Force presentation of the F-15s, you will see yourself that out of all kinds of air-to-air missiles, it carries any air-to-surface weapon in the Air Force inventory, nuclear and conventional. conventional. And I think so. You could easily find F-16s carrying JASSMs. So I think so. We can very confidently state that actually F-15 is capable of carrying JASSMs. And so when you have this type of the weaponry next to you, next to your territory, such as Iran is facing, yeah, you have to take measures. Well, what could be the measures? Obviously, attack of the air base if, you know, push comes to shove, or you know what, you can have to in this you have to in this case rely on your early warning, and not only your early warning, the Russian early warning and the air defense capability. And Iran does have serious air defense capability, and it hasn't been degraded at all, judging by the results, so to speak. Much of them are actually all made up, let's put it this way, by Israeli side. And this was still, keep in mind, it wasn't just Israeli strike. United States was providing the air refueling by, you know, deploying its tanker fleet. So it's and yeah, and obviously Iraq providing the territory in for the launch of those strikes on Iran. So I think so Iranians will be now a little bit jumpy on this respect, but they do have their escalation dominance, because they can deploy massive number of the ballistic missiles or cruise missiles for that matter. And yes, Israel is not capable of intercept them, no matter how many even THAADs, which never have been tested in the combat conditions, United States will provide them. So basically, Israel in this particular case is a sitting duck. So they have to be actually feeling pretty nervous, you know, depending on what Iran says. And Iran stated that, yeah, we're going to attack, of course, on the time and place of our choosing, but they will be. And they say that it's going to be, well, actually, a teeth-breaking response. Could it be? I'm pretty sure Iran can do that. Why would it do? Just listen to my, again, conversation between me and Colonel Daniel Davis. We have been discussing that the possibility Iran has a much better intelligence that we all do about events inside Israel. And in this particular case, they may be considering that they can give it a little bit of push to make Israel to implode politically. So, who knows? Now to the what is called military porn issue, and let me put it this way: it's becoming so, I mean, nauseating, honestly, you know. So, and here we have there is a Zhuhai air show held in China. And Russians sent their Su-57. For the first time, Su-57 flew outside Russia. And so immediately, look at this. We have this Forbes, and Forbes is the house to all those kind of morons like David X and other amateurs who, for some reason, are considered to be military specialists. And look at this. Peter Suchi, or whatever the name of him, Russia Su-57 fifth generation fighter mocked on Chinese social media. Okay, sure. So Su-57 flew into China, and of course Chinese are beginning to mock into the social media. And yeah, if you read this article, you will see yourself that this is uses such authoritative, I'm being facetious of course, sources as TikTok. But why Chinese would mock this, which probably true. I didn't go to TikTok, but I can totally envision it. So, and then we have another thing. Then we have Chinese attendees ridicule Russian Su-57 at Zhuhai show and share first detailed close-up photos. So this is Defense Express, and probably again another, you know what, fanboy from Mama's basement, you know, writing those analytical materials, so to speak. And the question is, what they mostly pointing out that, oh, look at these screws, look how it's not, you know, well made and things like that. Oh, look at our Chinese planes, which by the way fly on the Russian engines. But point is not this. Here's the point. Russian Su-57 is the only fifth generation fighter in the world which actually has an outstanding combat record. And secondly, this is what is explanation. Russia will not take the fully engaged combat Su-57s. And guess what? The Russians went to a trick. This is what Soho, their other Chinese publication says. Russia saved the Su-57 from being copied by China. As you can see yourself, it was yesterday. And Soho observes that for Russian participation in the Aero Show is an excellent opportunity to advertise its equipment, and we know that. So, but what did they do, Russians? Well, they arrived in China. Its appearance caused a resonance there. It is reported that the Russian side decided to attract an aircraft with the tail number 054 to participate in the exhibition, and such choice was surprising. I will explain you why. The machine under this tail number is widely known as one of the first prototypes of the Su-57. This is a pre-production model which was built during work on the aircraft. Why did Russian Federation send this particular aircraft to the exhibition? And he explains, the people who wrote this piece yesterday at Soho, that precisely because Russia is not going to provide modern serial produced Su-57. First, they are needed in at the special military operation, and secondly, yeah, this prototype and the final combat aircraft, the Su-57, they are pretty different. But Russians sent the prototype, and yeah, guess what? I can guarantee you that, and you will see that even this prototype will outperform anything which will be presented at Zhuhai Air Show. And in this particular case, yeah, you can leave it to the fanboys or those guys who masturbated all their life onto the stealth thing that, oh, it's not stealth, look at the screws. Yeah, it was a prototype. So the serial machines, they will never be allowed to fly outside Russia for the number of reasons, apart from being completely different in terms of the material paints and things like that. Obviously, there any kind of the access to the avionics and to whatever other systems which are on the serial aircraft represent a state secret. And Su-57 undeniably proved itself the only fifth generation fighter which has not only outstanding combat record, it together with Su-35, it holds the world record on the beyond visual range kills. And we are talking about beyond visual range, not some 20 kilometers. We are talking about the use of R-37 air-to-air missile, and I believe that you can look it up. I actually made a video, one of the videos I presented the data, the longest shoot down, the kill by allegedly Su-57, could have been Su-35, but they kind of interchange in these roles, was actually 250 kilometers of the Su-27 of the Ukrainian Air Forces. This is the range, I mean, no Western aircraft can even touch to detect, let alone to detect and develop firing solution. And they don't have the missile, which is even comparable to R-37. And in this particular case, Russians said, yeah, you can mock us whatever we want, but this is the prototype. What is the serial? Yeah. And they are correctly stated that, yeah. Chinese will be very interested in copying those things. Nope. Russians are not sending it. So, you know what, allies are allies, but there are things which even allies not supposed to get their hands on. And that is precisely what happened. And as I already stated, follow Zhuhai Air Show and see for yourself how this Su-57 will outperform everything. So, and this is what I wanted to tell you today, guys. And as always, in the end, those who like my channel, please subscribe to my channel, and those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee and two. I would really appreciate this. And so what can I say? We have a lovely evening coming for us, and let's kind of get popcorn, really, and start looking at what is going to be happening. Probably the most important US elections since the times of the Civil War, I would say. So, this is everything I had to tell you today, guys, and you know what, have a nice rest of the day, a lovely election day evening, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.